Hello students. Today we are going to see self-weight problem. Now this is the second problem that we are seeing of self-weight. In the last lecture we have solved self-weight problem. Now today we'll see one more self-weight problem so that the concepts of self-weight will get more cleared. Okay. So here we have taken another problem of a wedge-shaped plate. Here you can see that this is a wedge-shaped plate. Since this is a wedge-shaped plate and there is no constant cross-sectional area for a certain span of length, first we need to convert this wedge-shaped plate into step shaft, because for applying FEM, finite element method, on any problem and to discretize that problem, we need certain cross-sectional area to be constant for certain length of for certain period of length. Okay, but here the cross-sectional area is constantly getting reduced throughout its length. Okay, so first we'll convert this wedge-shaped plate into step shaft or step plate, and then we apply the finite element method for solving that problem. Okay, so in the self-weight problem you may come across a wedge-shaped plate or a cone, frustum of a cone or frustum of a pyramid. So in every case you have to convert such problems into step shaft, and then you can apply the finite element method steps. Okay, so here this is a wedge-shaped plate. Here you can see that the upper side of this wedge-shaped plate is 200 mm. The bottom side is of 100 mm. Bottom side is of 100 mm. If you see this plate from this side, then it would look something like this. Okay, so this is the bottom edges and these are the top edges. The thickness of this plate is 20 mm. This is 20 mm. Okay, then the total vertical height of this wedge-shaped plate is 1200 mm. One force P1 is applied at this point, and the distance of this point P from the bottom is 800 mm. The magnitude of P1 is 10 kilonewton. Then another force P2 is applied on upward direction, and the magnitude of P2 is 2 kilonewton. Okay, this wedge-shaped plate is fixed at the top end and the bottom end is free. Now our first task is to convert this wedge-shaped plate into an equivalent step shaft. Okay, so that will be an approximation to convert this wedge-shaped plate into step shaft. Now first, how many steps will be there? So that is question number 1. So since here one force is given at the center or at 800 mm from the bottom, so one force is given. So what we'll do, we will discretize into 2 steps. Okay, in the previous problem there were 2 forces in between the top edge and the bottom edge, so that is why in that case we have discretized into 3 steps. But since here there is only one force, so we discretize into section 1 and section 2, or step 1 and step 2 only. Had it been there is no force, then you could have easily convert this wedge-shaped plate into a single step shaft. Okay, so number of sections in this self-weight problem depend upon the number of forces there in between the top and the bottom. If there are two forces, that means there will be three sections. If there are one force, there will be two sections, like that. Okay. So what we'll do, we will convert approximately into two sections. So this is step number 1, and this is step number 2. Okay. So like that we approximately try to convert this wedge-shaped plate into a step shaft. Now here the length of step number 1 would be 1200 minus 800. So that means here it will be 400. Okay, and the length of this second step would be 800 mm. Okay. Now we need to find out what is this side. Okay. So the cross-sectional area would be rectangle. The cross-sectional area of this step shaft would be rectangle. This is a rectangular plate, and this rectangular plate means this wedge-shaped plate is converted into rectangular step shaft. Okay. So if you see the side view of this, step shaft, it would look something like this. The thickness of this plate would be 20 mm. Okay. Now what will be this dimension? So that we need to find out first. Then second is what will be this dimension, that we need to find out. Okay. So how to find out? So this for this so this dimension of the shaft would be an average. This will be an average. This dimension will be an average of the upper dimension of section number 1 and this dimension would be an average of this side and this side. Okay. So first we need to find out this side. Okay, this we know. This is what? This is 200 mm. This is 100 mm. Okay. So now we need to find out this dimension, so that we can find out. See, this is 100 mm. So that means this dimension is 100 mm. Okay. Now consider this as x and this is x. Okay. Now see this triangle. So in this triangle, again one thing is that this total is 100 mm. So and this total side is 200 mm. So this will be obviously, this will be 50. This dimension is 50 and 50, and this the total is 100. So 100 minus 50, so it will be 50. So this dimension is how much? This is 50. This total length is 1200 and this is 800. Okay. So if you see this hatched triangle in isolation, if if you see this hatched triangle in isolation, then this is 1200, this is 800, this is 50, and this we need to find out as x. Now there are two triangles. One is the bigger triangle and another one is a smaller triangle. And here we can apply the similarity of triangle method to find out x. So the similarity of triangle method says this upon 50 upon total length, that is 1200, is equal to corresponding dimensions of a smaller triangle. So bigger triangle में अपन ने क्या लिया है, ये वाला साइड लिया है और वर्टिकल साइड लिया है. तो ये वाले छोटे ट्रायंगल में भी x upon this vertical length is 800. Okay. So from this you can easily find out the value of x. So x is equal to 50 into 800 divided by 1200. So 200 get cancelled. This is 3. This is 2. That means 100 divided by 3. So answer is 33.33. So x comes out to be 33.33. So this distance is 33.33. Similarly, this distance is 33.33. So the total side, so total bottom side of section 1 will be, this is 100, this is 100. So 100 plus 33.33 plus here 33.33. So total is 166.66 mm. So this total side is 166.66 mm. So I hope you have understood how to find out the intermediate length in this wedge-shaped plate. Now we convert this wedge-shaped plate into step shaft, where this dimension will be an average of the upper dimension of the section 1 and the bottom dimension of the section 2. So average length of section 1 is equal to, so top dimension is 200 plus this intermediate dimension is 166.66 divided by 2, so it comes out to be 'This average length comes out to be 200 plus 166.66 divided by 2. So this is 366.66 divided by 2. So this is 183.33 mm. So this is 183.33 mm will be the average width of section 1. Similarly, for section 2, it will be 166. The bottom side, the top side of this section 2 will be 166.66 and bottom side is 100. So we'll take the average. So 166.66 plus 100 divided by 2. So this comes out to be 266.66 divided by 2, that is 133.33 mm. So the average width of the second step is 133.33. Okay. So here we have successfully converted this wedge shaped plate into a step plate problem. This is what? 183.33. This is 133.33. One force is acting of 10 kilonewton. One force is acting at the bottom of 2 kilonewton. This is 400. This is what? 800. Okay. And the thickness of this plate is 20 mm. Okay. Now here we discretize it first. First is discretization. So here we have discretized it into two elements, element 1, element 2. This is node number 1, node number 2, node number 3, and then there is a force of 10 kilonewton in downward direction, and there is upward force of 2 kilonewton in upward direction. Okay. Then this is U1, F1, U2, F2, and this is U3, F3. Okay. So this is a discretization, and then we apply the element stiffness matrix. Element stiffness matrix. So we calculate for K1. So K1 is equal to A1 E1 upon L1, 1 minus 1 minus 1 1, for node number 1, 2, 1, 2. Okay. Now A1. Now what is A1? A1 is nothing but the cross-sectional area of this step is rectangular. So 183.33 into thickness is 20. So 183.33 multiplied by 20. E value in this problem is given. So this plate is of same material. So the Young's modulus for this wedge-shaped plate is so 200 GPa, 200 GPa, and the density of the material is 7.86 gram per centimeter cube. So how to identify whether we need to consider self weight or not? So that is from this density value. If the density value is given in the problem, that means you need to consider the self weight of the problem. And if the density value is not given, then you don't have to consider the self weight. Okay. So whenever there is a wedge-shaped plate or frustum of a cone or frustum of a pyramid problem, so in that case this density value is must. Okay, because from the density value only you can find out the self weight of the sections. So here 200 into 10 to the power 3 divided by L1. L1 is 400. 1 minus 1 minus 1 1. This is for node number 1 2 1 2. And the answer of this expression comes out to be 10 to the power 3 outside the bracket, it is 166.66 minus 166.66 minus 166.66 166.66. This is for node number 1 2 1 2. Okay, and this is your K1. Similarly, K2 is calculated as 66.67 minus 66.67 minus 66.67 66.67. And this is node number 2 3 2 3. Okay. Now from this we calculate the global stiffness matrix. So global stiffness matrix is K1 plus K2 is equal to, so we know that it will be a 3 by 3 matrix. This is for node number 1 2 3 1 2 3, and the values are this 166.67 minus 166.67 0 minus 166.67, and here will be addition of the two values. It is 233.34 minus 66.67 0 minus 66.67 and 66.67. So this is our global stiffness matrix. Now we apply the PMP, but for this we require a global force matrix. Now here in the self weight problem, apart from the external loading, we need to consider the self weight of the sections as well. So for that we find out the global force matrix for this. Now next we will find out the global force matrix. So global force matrix Fg, it will be summation of external load plus the self weight. It will be summation of the external loading plus the self weight at each nodes. Now we find out the external load matrix. So this is for node number 1, 2 and 3. So the load matrix, the external load matrix. So at node number 1 there is no force, so it will be 0. At node number 2 there is one force in downward direction of 10 kilonewton. And remember one thing, in self-weight problem the downward force considered to be positive and upward force considered to be negative. Now this is very very important. The force towards the gravity is considered as positive and the force which is away from the gravity is considered to be negative. So here 10 kilonewton downward force, so we consider it as positive, 10 to the power 3 outside the bracket. And here this is 2 kilonewton upward against gravity, so we consider it as minus 2, and 10 to the power 3 is outside the bracket. So this is our the load matrix. Okay, now we find out this weight matrix. Now this weight matrix, is equal to the self weight of section 1 plus the self weight matrix of section 2. Okay, so this will be summation of weight of section 1 and section 2, or element 1 and element 2. Okay, now first we find out the self weight at section 1. This is at node number 1 and 2. Okay, section 1 is made up of node number 1 and 2. So what will be the weight distributed at node number 1 and 2? Now find out the weight of this section 1. Okay, so the weight of section 1 is calculated as volume multiplied by the density. Okay, the weight of any object is calculated as volume into density, and we need to convert it into Newton. So then, since this will give us answer in kg, so to convert it into Newton, multiply by G. And volume is nothing but area into length into rho into G. Okay, so the weight area of the first section is 183.33, length is 400 rho. So this rho is given 7.86 gram per centimeter cube. Now if you convert this weight into kg per mm cube, so this is 7.86. So this is 7.86 kg per mm cube. Okay, so if you convert this gram per centimeter cube to kg per mm cube, so it will remain same, 7.86. So this is 7.86 kg per mm cube multiplied by 9.81. So this will give the answer as 10. So this will give 102.81 Newton. Now this 102.81 Newton is the total weight of section 1. Now this total weight of the section 1 is divided equally or distributed equally at the two nodes, at node number 1 and at node number 2. So 102.81 divided by 2, so that is 51.4. That will distribute at node number 1, and 51.4 will distribute at node number 2. Okay, and we know that the weight always acts downward, so that is why it will be a positive. And okay, then similarly we calculate the weight of section 2. So (133.33) into here for calculating area 183 into 20. Okay, so 183 into 20 will give you the area multiplied by length, that is 400. So here also 133.33 into 20 into length is 800 into 7.86 into 9.81. So this will give you the total weight, and that is equal to 164.48 Newton. So the weight matrix of section 2 will be 82.24 and 82.24 for node number 2 and node number 3. Okay, now from this so when you combine both these matrices together, so FW is equal to FW1 plus FW2, so that is equal to, so add node number 1, 2 and 3. So at node number 1 there is only one value, that is 151.4. At node number 2 there are two values, 51.4 and so that is 133.64. And at node number 3 there is only one value, that is 82.24 Newton. Okay, now to find out the global force matrix, we need to add the global load matrix plus global weight matrix. Now the global load matrix is this. Now here the values are in Newton, whereas these values are in kilonewton. So what we'll do, 0, 1, 2, 3 minus 2, 1, 2, 3 plus 51.4, 133.64 and 82.24. So if you add, you will get the global force matrix, okay, and that is equal to 51.4, 10,133.64 and 2082.24. This is in Newton. Okay. Now this is the global force matrix. Now you can apply PMP to find out the displacement values. Now next step is to apply PMP. So global force matrix is equal to global stiffness matrix multiplied by global displacement matrix. So the global force matrix is this. Now since we have taken 10 to the power 3 out of this global stiffness matrix, so here also we take out 10 to the power 3 outside the bracket. So in the bracket it will be 0.514, right? Yes, 0.0514. Then this is 10.133 and this is 2.082. No, sorry. Now here there is a negative. So this is negative, this is positive. So negative positive value comes out to be minus 1917.76. Okay. So here also it will be minus 1917.76. Okay, is equal to 10 to the power 3. This is kg matrix and this is u1, u2, u3. And now you can do the calculations and find out the values of u1 and u2. Find out the values of u2 and u3 by applying the Gauss elimination. You can easily find out the values of u2 and u3. So the important thing is to find out, to convert the wedge-shaped plate into step shaft and then find out the global force matrix and then apply the principle of minimum potential energy. The rest of the calculations you know and you can do very well. So thank you for attending the class. Thanks.